Just a moment. Adi, so you can start. Adi. Okay. So we'll start in 5 minutes. Yep. Hold a second, Dr. Kadirov. We have a technical problem, a little bit. Just a moment.
Your voice is not very good. I'm very sorry.
So can you hear me?
There are
Well?
some pauses.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you well, but there are some pauses in the middle.
I see. Just a moment.
Now it's very good.
It's very good now. Great. I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Aldi, are you ready? Pak Jati, could you help please? Oh, sudah. Okay. Okay, so you can start, Aldi, please.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Assalamualaikum.
Good afternoon, Professor Alisher Kaidarov from University of Economy and Pedagogy, Uzbekistan. The Honorable, the Dean of Teacher Training and Education Faculty, Dr. Yoga Prihatin MPD from Universitas Pancasakti Tegal, Indonesia. And also, good afternoon, Mrs. Neni Hendariati. Good afternoon, Dr. Dewi Amalia. Good afternoon, Dr. Beni, and all the lecturers of economic education. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. I am Aldi, as the moderator of today's event and visiting professor from University of Economy and Pedagogy, Uzbekistan. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to our main event, so I'd like to read the rundown of today's event. The first is opening. The second is singing national anthem. The third is welcoming remarks from the Dean of Teacher Training and Education Faculty. The fourth is guest lecture. The fifth is discussion. And the last but not least is closing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to open this event, let's open by saying Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, the next agenda is singing national anthem. So everyone please notice to the screen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now before we move to the next agenda, I'd like to remind to all the participants to kindly open your camera. The next agenda will be the opening remark from the Dean of Teacher Training and Education faculty. And I'd like to invite Dr. Yoga to give your speech. Dr. Yoga, please do.
Thank you so much, Aldi, as the moderator. Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and good morning for Uzbekistan, of course. Thank you so much. Honorable, our distinguished guest speaker today, International Visiting Professor, Dr. Kaidi Rof. Thank you so much. It is an honor for me, for us, that you are joining our guest lecture today, and I believe that will be very useful for our students here. But before we start, I would like to introduce you that we have several academic members, and they are lecturers and students. First, I would like to introduce you to Ibu Neni Hendariati, the head of the study program of economics education. Ibu Neni, say hello.
Hello, thank you very much, Mr. Haidarov. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deka.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And I would like to invite Dr. Beni Habib as he is the lecturer of the economics education, but also the vice rector of the financial affairs. Dr. Beni, are you there?
Thank you. Thank you, Bu
Dr.
Dekan.
Beni, okay.
Iya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Beni, for.
Maaf, videonya ini bermasalah.
We do apologize that Dr. Beni Habibi, the vice of the financial affairs, has a problem with the camera. So, thousand apologies, Dr. Kadirov. And I would like to invite another lecturer, Ibu Dr. Devi Amalia. Ibu Dr. Devi Amalia, are you here? Dr. Devi Amalia? She is here. She is in charge for the head of the is a career program and also about curriculum and development. That's Ibu Lia, Ibu Dr. Lia. And the last one, I think I would like, it is an honor for me to invite Ibu Dr. Devi Apriliani. Is she here? Dr.
Hello.
Devi? Yeah.
Yes, hello.
Okay.
Terima kasih,
Aldi,
Bu Dekan.
Dr.
Thank
Devi,
you.
please Aldi. Okay,
Hello.
Dr. Devi. Thank you, Ibu Devi
Hello.
Apriani.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Mr.
It's very nice to see you.
Okay, and back again to Ibu Dr. Devi Amalia. Dr. Devi Amalia, please say hello. Ibu Dr. Amalia, say hello. Mikrofonnya, Bu. Mikrofonnya belum.
Sorry.
I can turn
Sorry.
to.
Hello, Mr. Alisher. Nice to meet you.
Yes, hello. I'm very glad to see you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Dr. Dewi. Do we have another lecturer? Bapak Tommy, ada? Bapak Tommy, are you here? Pak Tommy?
Yes, Bu Dekan.
Okay. Say hello.
Okay, hello, Mr. Haidirov. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, thank you so much. Those are the lecturers in English, in economics education department. And it is an honor for us to be here to listen to your presentations today. Again, I hope today's sessions will give you the students understanding about taxations. That is very an area that significantly affects our economy and society. While students also will learn about taxes is not only about numbers or following rules, but it is also about realizing that they are citizens that should be responsible as the part of the society, and also they
Yes, of
are.
course.
And for academic members, I think this knowledge will support their teaching and research in economics educations, enabling them improve complex financial systems. So let us welcoming Dr. Kadirov today. Again, it is a great honor for us that you are here today. Thank you so much and enjoy the guest lecture today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, dear the lecturers in Indonesia, and I think it's a new step in the cooperation between our countries and our universities, and I hope this cooperation will go on and will improve in the future, and I hope that we will do the student exchange or staff exchange programs in the near future. And it's a very great honor for me to make a lecture in international audience. Okay, can I share my screen?
Sorry, Professor. May I read your CV first? Yeah, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the core session of today's event, I'd like to read a short CV from Professor Kaidarov Alisher Akram Ugli, or Professor Alisher. Yeah, so Professor Alisher is a professor of the Department of Economics at the University of Economics and Pedagogy, Uzbekistan. And then with his specialization, accounting, finance, and taxation. And for his education from 2016 to 2020, student at Tashkent Institute of Railway Engineering, Accounting and Auditing. 2022 to 2024 master's degree student at Banking and Finance Academy of the Republic of Uzbekistan, taxation. And then 2023 summer internship at Policy Research Institute under the Ministry of Finance of Japan. And for his great work experience from 2024 to present as an associate professor of the Department of Economics at the University of Economics and Pedagogy, Uzbekistan. Without any further ado, let's now welcome Associate Professor Kaidarov Alisher Akram Ugli to deliver his lecture. Professor, time is yours.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Of course, thank you very much. Now I will start my presentation. And before starting this, that I would like to tell you about some information that in order to make my lecture more interesting and understandable, that I will describe some slides, and during them that I will ask some slide, and will go on in this way. That if you are ready, that I will start. That I'm from the, as you said, and pedagogy, and not that I have a practical experience in the field, and that as you now describe it, that I have worked in the Ministry of Finance in the taxation department, so that I of taxation. And today I will make a presentation on the topic, why do taxes exist? How should a fair taxation be implemented? That first of all, that I would like to give you a brief information about the history of taxes. We know that taxation is a subject with an immense and very long history, and it's possibly coincident with the beginning of any advanced civilization. The taxes are the fuel that makes the civilization run. There is no known civilization in the world that up to now that didn't tax. And taxation played a fundamental role in ancient international politics, that even the wars occurred or the empires collided and battled for the taxation right and to tax the loser. And the peace conferences and treaties centered on the question of how much tax the victors will receive that after the war. And the small nations revolved or engaged in the international intrigue for tax advantages. And that if I give you information about the early examples of taxes, that the tax has been raised by governments throughout the history. That in pre-monetary societies, the taxes were out in labor. that another source of income at that time was a tribute required by the conquered people from neighboring countries. In societies without money, that farmers were required to provide a proportion of their crops to the government. And the earliest and the most widespread tax was the compulsory labor at that time. And the oldest taxes, the compulsory labor and land taxes, that even they are, the land taxes are available now, and they were direct taxes. That in later years, that indirect taxes were also that implemented. That, for example, at the time of Roman Empire, the Julius Caesar, they introduced 1% the sales tax. Furthermore, that ancient people that imposed a poll tax on foreigners. At the time of Roman Empire, the tax farmers were tasked with raising funds for the government. They were allowed to keep whatever they else raised for themselves. That this is a cartoon picture that, as you can see, and the figure, this picture suggested that many people do not understand taxation, yet it is something that affects all of our lives. The elderly gentleman in this cartoon is aware that he has been paying to the budget throughout his life, that for 63 years, but finds it so complicated that he has never understood it. It is a sad of life that almost any country's taxation system is so complex that very few people, that only professional qualified tax advisors or lawyers or some lecturers that will understand it completely. However, that every citizen and business are expected to comply in full with the tax requirements that are applicable to them. For example, that we know that Albert Einstein once said that the hardest thing is to understand in this world is the income tax. Maybe there were a lot of reasons why he came to this conclusion. That a basic understanding of how and why taxation exists in this world will not necessarily make doing that taxation calculation that why taxation is such complex area of study. So, what is a tax? Taxes have been described in many terms, that some people gave the positive opinions and some negative. Some we can print some notice, and however we cannot print the other ones. Let's go directly to a formal definition of a tax. That according to Oxford English Dictionary, a tax is a compulsory contribution to the support of government levied on persons, property, income, commodities, and transactions. And one of the scholars said that a tax is a payment exacted by the authority from the one part of the community for the benefit of the whole. And I think that this definition will give you about the understanding of the taxes. And the taxes are the price we pay for a civilized society. It is not just a payment, it is our obligation. It is our obligation, and because the government budget is filled with the help of taxes, and as I mentioned it in the previous slides, there is no known civilization in the world that hasn't filled its budget without the help of the taxes. And the taxes differ from fines and penalties in that the taxes are not intended to punish or prevent illegal behavior. Okay, we know that the characteristics of a tax, that we know that each of us pay the payments to the government, but not all of them are a tax. So in order to be a tax, in order to qualify as a tax, the three criteria must be met. The payment must be required, and it isn't voluntary payment, and it must be imposed by government, and it shouldn't be tied directly to the benefit received by the taxpayer. I think the last point is the most important here, because the last point is not to say that the taxpayers receive no benefits from taxes. They pay. They benefit from national defense, judicial system, law enforcement, social programs, or highways, public schools, that or many other the government provided programs. The distinction is that taxes paid are not related to specific benefit received by the taxpayer. For example, the price of admission to national park is a fee. It is not a tax, because there is a specific benefit here that if I pay, that I will have a right to enter the park. This is not a tax, because that I have the personal benefit here. Okay, that I would like to look at the audience. Just imagine that Margaret travels to New York, where she rents a hotel and dines at several restaurants. The price she pays for the hotel room and the meal includes an additional 2% city surcharge to fund roadway construction in New York. Do you think is this a tax?
Dear all the participants, you can type on the chat box if you think this is a text or not. Just type it. Thank you.
Yes, answer is yes, because the payment is required by a local government and it doesn't directly relate to a specific benefit the Margaret receives. And the question to the Margaret's parents, Bill and Angelina, recently built a house and they were assessed as connect to the account receiver system. Is this a tax? That if you think yes, that please type. That if you think no, that you may give your opinion. And this is no tax, because the assessment was mandatory. Yes, it was mandatory. It is not voluntary, and it was paid to local government. However, the third criterion of the tax was not met, since the payment directly relates to specific benefit, the saving service. For the same reason, the tolls, the parking meter fees, or annual licensing fees are not also considered taxes, that although they go direct to the state budget. We know that state budget revenues comprise of two sources, the tax sources, and the non-tax sources. And these examples are non-tax sources. Thank you very much. And if we talk about the objectives of taxation, why do governments tax people and companies? Why? There are mainly four reasons here. The first and the foremost reason is to raise the revenue for the provision of public goods. The term public goods refers to goods and services that are not provided in private market. But usually it is not efficient for them to do so. There are things that people need or want in their society, so the government is left with the job of supplying them. For example, examples are the protection of property rights through the police force or legal system, utilities such as power, roads and street lights. However, the world to fund a monarchy or the
Sorry, Professor Alisher. It seems that you face a trouble.
There is a little trouble with the connection, Mr. Aldi. Mas Aldi.
Iya. Iya, Bu. Oh, sepertinya ini ini ya.
Cut off the connection. Maybe there is solution for
I think Professor
Aldi, Mas
Alisher.
Aldi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will be continuous.
Seems that you have a bit trouble. Can you hear my voice, dear Professor?
Hello, Mr.
Hello, Professor. Can you hear my voice? Or maybe he's still connecting.
Okay, can you?
Yes.
Okay. Distribution of income and wealth, the taxation that may be used as benefits to those members of society who are less well off or in need of, to promote social equality. And this is often achieved by having
Deeply
this is
sorry,
often
Professor. I think we couldn't see your face. Can you please turn on your camera? Or you already?
just
Okay, that's okay.
Yo, nama.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm very sorry. To promote social economic welfare, and that is one of the main reasons and main that objectives of taxation. That government often provides merit goods such as health and education. That merit goods, unlike goods, can be provided privately, but there is merit in the state providing them, as everyone should benefit. We know that private education and private health services are quite expensive, so that most people may not be able to afford them. So it is the government's obligation to provide and to promote the social economic welfare. In a similar way that we know that demerit goods such as alcohol or cigarettes can be discouraged, often by the imposition of high taxes because of the health and the pollution risks posed to the society. And economic stability, we know that the world is changing today, and there are lots of quarrels around the world, so there may be the high levels of inflation or unemployment problems or some other social problems in the society. And the government here is needed to promote stable economic growth, and that all of these services have their own value, and this value comes from what do we tax? That what is actually taxed is referred to a tax base. There is variety of different things that can constitute a tax base, namely income, revenue, capital, expenditure, consumption, and income may be in certain circumstances very easy to define. For example, it can be the salary or wages as an individual earns as a result of his or her employment. In the next slide, that I would like to give you some discussional the question here, that the three people, and they all have cash income of the same amount, and therefore they should they be taxed in the same way. For example, the one person has got that 5,000 US dollars from the dividends on investment portfolio, and however, the second person has the 5,000 US dollar cash as a result of annual salary, while the third person from the sale of that antique table, which was inherited from his grandfather. That if they were taxed on this basis, this would be an application of what is termed as horizontal equity. That horizontal equity and vertical equity. There are two types of equity in the taxation, that horizontal and vertical. That here that their income doesn't arise in the from the same source in the same way. One sum is a result of labor, be likewise rewarded in the subsequent year, that he earned money this year, and it's very high likely that he will earn money in the next year too. However, in the next person, he inherited the table, maybe he sold it and he cannot sell it again because he already sold it, that he cannot earn money from this sort again. And the investment income is also the same. And it means that taking into the all different situations and all the differences into account, that is to call it vertical equity. That is, the difference in individual situations should be reflected in the way and their income is taxed. I ask everyone to pay a clear attention to that slide, because it is the, how can I say, the most important, the sweetest, if I can say, the part of my presentation. That we know that there are more than 200 countries in the world, and all of them have the tax system. And most scholars say that they have analyzed it, that if the taxation system should be efficient, it must meet these five fundamental requirements. If any tax structure, tax system doesn't meet this requirement, that it will face changes in the next year, because they are the fundamental fundamental requirements for each tax system. Also, that it may appear that tax systems are designed without much forethought. In truth, that lawmakers engage in continuous debate over the basic questions of whom to tax, what to tax, and how much to tax. But fairness, that we will discuss shortly, the fairness is often like a beauty. And it is in the eye of the beholder that what is fair to someone that may seem that unfair to anyone. That in the following slides that I will offer that various criteria, the sufficiency, equity, certainty, convenience, and economy, you can use to evaluate the alternative tax system that satisfying everyone, as you know, at the same time is difficult. The first requirement is sufficiency, that any tax system that should collect the sufficient amount of money for its budget. That if it isn't collecting this enough money for the budget, it means that it isn't sufficient. There is some problem here. That judging the sufficiency of a tax system means that assessing the amount of the tax revenues that it must generate, ensuring that it provided them. For a country's tax system to be successful, that it must provide that sufficient revenues for the government expenditures. That, as I said, that most government expenditures are done with the help of the taxes. For example, in the example of the Uzbekistan, the last year the taxes that comprised that 80% of total revenues, and I think this may be the same in your country too. The second and the main important one also is equity. As I said, there are two types of equity, that horizontal equity and vertical equity. That horizontal equity means that the two taxpayers in similar situations that pay the same tax. The second type of equity to consider that in evaluating tax system is vertical equity. That vertical equity is achieved that when taxpayers with greater ability to pay tax pay more tax than earn that 2000 that Uzbek soms, and while my friend earns that 1 million Uzbek soms. That according to vertical equity, that I should pay more tax at a higher rate of taxes. This is equity. And the next one is the convenience. Convenience means the tax system should be designed to facilitate the collection of tax revenues without undue hardship. That on the government, that various tax systems meet this criteria by trying the collection of taxes as closely as possible during the time of transaction with the help of that indirect taxes. And the economy means that the tax system should minimize the compliance and administration costs. An economy can be viewed perspectives. That if I explain you in my country's experience, that we have that property and land taxes for the indirect taxes from this category of people that government spends a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time and resources. However, the income which is coming from that sources is not sufficient. So I cannot that I can say that this is not economical. The taxation system is spending a lot of money and is not receiving enough money. That is not economical way. That it should be the tax system that meets this requirement. And we know that Adam Smith, who is one of the greatest economists of his time, And he also agreed this requirements that he said that the tax system should meet equity, certainty, convenience, and efficiency. The subjects of every state ought to contribute towards the support of the government as nearly as possible in proportion to their respective abilities. And that is in proportion to the revenue which they respectively enjoy under the protection of the country. This is equity. And the tax which each individual is bound to pay ought to be certain, not arbitrary. The time of payments, the manner of payment, the quantity to be paid ought to be clear, and it should be easy. That is certainty. And every tax ought to be levied at the time which is comfortable for the taxpayer. That is the Adam Smith's idea for the requirement that of taxation system. And the last, that every tax ought to be contributed as both to take out and keep out the pockets of the people as little as possible over and above what brings into public treasury of the state. That is efficiency. Okay, here that question, just we know that before the finance year, the tax organizations, the financial organizations that do forecasts for the next year. And just imagine here, the city of Karshi would like to increase tax revenues by $2 million to pay for the needed road. A concerned taxpayer recently proposed increasing the cigarette excise tax from $1 per pack of cigarettes to $6 per pack to raise the additional needed revenue. Last year, that 400,000 packs of cigarettes were sold in the city. Do you think will the tax be successful raising the $2 million revenue? Yes, that it may increase the revenue because may also not increase because everything into account. For example, the increase from $1 to $5, the assumption that 400,000 will be still sold, and this is an example of forex. However, if payers may respond to tax change by quitting, cutting down, or giving up, or buying cheaper cigarettes in the next town. And that is one important point when forecasting the budget revenue and the taxes. There are two types of taxes. There are the direct taxes and indirect taxes. Usually a direct tax is regarded as one that is paid by a taxpayer and is not passed on to any other person. The company knows how much it pays, and it pays directly. Income tax, capital taxes, property taxes are further examples of direct taxes. However, an indirect tax is most commonly a tax on goods and services. There are two general types of taxes, the VAT and the excise taxes. VAT, value-added tax, is an indirect consumption tax, and it means the tax is paid as a result of purchase of goods or services rather than that as a result of earning income. The direct and indirect taxes play an important role that on evaluating the efficiency of any country. However, in the next slide that I asked the question, is it possible to evaluate the development rate of economy by the share of direct and indirect taxes in state budget revenues? In development economics and tax policy literature, the scholars assess a country's stage of development by analyzing the composition of its tax revenues specifically. The balance between direct and indirect taxes. Developed economies with stronger administrative capacity and emphasis on equity and accountability tend to have a higher share of direct taxes. In contrast, developing countries rely more on indirect taxes, which are administratively simply to collect. A study covering 116 countries over the last 3 decades shows developed countries consistently have higher ratios of direct to indirect taxes, while developing countries have remained lower. Specifically, developed economies derive roughly 2/3 of their revenue from direct taxes, like income and social contributions. In contrast, the developing countries rely more on indirect taxes such as VAT, excise, and customs duty. Why? We know that income tax and the corporate income tax by companies or social contributions are taken from the taxpayer immediately. And that if the taxpayer doesn't declare his or her income, or doesn't reveal his property, the government or tax authority cannot identify it. So it is very difficult here. And that the countries that are earning more money as taxes from the direct taxes are considered to be developed countries because they have the administrative capacity to collect taxes, and the shadow economy rate is very low the other countries. However, the consumption taxes, indirect taxes, are very easy to collect. That we may not reveal our income, the government cannot identify. However, we cannot get rid of our consumption, that we are the human being and we need to consume something, that we think that we are paying, for example, some taxes are included. That's why the indirect taxes are easy to collect, and the dependence on the indirect taxes is very bad for any country. Okay, why does the tax mix indicate development? The state capacity, administering income, and corporate taxes demands more legal infrastructure and audit capacity. Weaker status lean on consumption taxes that are simpler to collect, as I said, and visibility and accountability. Direct taxes are more transparent. Taxpayers see deductions and failures. Higher reliance on direct tax tends to increase the citizens' demand for government accountability and development correlated. Economies with higher shares of direct tax tend to be wealthier, have better inequality outcomes, and sustain longer and stronger long-term growth. That if we see this in the example of Indonesia, according to economyanalysis.com, the tax structure of budget of Indonesia, the highest share of tax revenues in Indonesia in 2022 was derived from corporate income tax. That's roughly 29%, and the second highest share of tax revenues in 2002 was derived from value-added tax. And for example, the personal income tax is 13%, V8 corporate income tax is 29%, social contributions is 4%. That excise taxes and other taxes on goods and services is 14%, and the value-added tax and goods and service tax is 28%. That if we think the previous slide, that previous analysis is correct, let's analyze. There are two indirect taxes, value-added tax and the other tax on goods and services. The first one share is 28, and the second one share is 14. The overall 42%. The 42% of budget revenues of Indonesia came from indirect taxes, while the 58% of revenues came from the direct taxes. That if we look the international rankings of Indonesia, according to Wikipedia and other internet sources, that Indonesia is the 16th largest economy worldwide by nominal GDP. And according to IMF, 2024, it is emerging market economy. And according to World Bank, it is upper middle income country. That's very correct. That Indonesia has its role in Asia and in the world, and it is not developing country. That it is that upper middle income country near the developed countries, and its direct tax share is 58%. That if we can if we come to conclusion here that we can identify the one country's development rate by the share of direct and indirect taxes. And however, in my country, the share of indirect taxes is very higher, and it is according to last year's numbers that 48% indirect taxes and 52% direct taxes. However, in the previous years, about 5 or 10 years ago, this was very high. The indirect taxes that comprised even the 70% of the total revenue, that as with the help of the government and the tax organizations are developing, that most people are feeling that taxation is their obligation, and that's why they are paying the taxes voluntarily and intentionally, and that's why the gap between direct and indirect taxes is decreasing. And that's all for my today. I have given you that interesting information and interesting lecture on taxation. And that if you have any questions, that I'm ready to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Alisher, for giving an outstanding material today. And then, ladies and gentlemen, now we move to the discussion session. So, if you have any question, you may raise your hand and just convey your question, or if you can also type your question on the chat box. Thank you. And now I'd like to remind you to do not forget for the participants and also Professor Alisher to kindly fill out the questionnaire I provide on the chat box. Thank you.
You can stop my demonstration. There is some.
Yeah, okay.
If you can.
Mungkin Mas Aldi bisa menyampaikan ke dalam bahasa Indonesia untuk meresum sedikit terkait dengan apa yang disampaikan oleh Mr. Alisher. Kemudian nanti mahasiswa mungkin bisa menyampaikannya dengan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia apabila memang kesulitan untuk menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Begitu Mas Aldi.
Oh ya, oke, siap Bu. Bentar, sebentar. Saya coba untuk ini dulu.
Sepertinya itu Mr. Alisher minta stop screen, Mas.
Iya, saya masih mencoba sebentar.
Thank you very much. I have read and very interesting and comment here in the chat box. Thank you very much too.
Or maybe, Professor, can you please stop sharing by yourself? I still trying to.
What you say?
Can you please stop sharing by yourself because I couldn't do that? Great. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, maybe before we move to the discussion session, I'd like to resum the material today. Bu Neni, should I speak in English first and then translate it into bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Indonesia langsung?
Mungkin bahasa Indonesia langsung, garis
Bahasa Indonesia
besarnya
langsung
saja.
ya. Oke, baik. Baik. Jadi tadi Profesor Alisher sudah menyampaikan materi terkait pajak secara umum. Jadi materi yang disampaikan oleh Profesor Alisher ini menjelaskan bahwa pajak adalah pembayaran wajib kepada pemerintah yang tidak secara langsung dikaitkan dengan manfaat khusus yang diterima pembayar. Salah satu contoh kasus seperti biaya tambahan hotel di New York yang tergolong pajak dibandingkan dengan biaya sambungan saluran pembuangan yang tidak dianggap pajak karena memberikan manfaat langsung. Kemudian ciri-ciri utama pajak meliputi yang pertama sifatnya adalah wajib, yang kedua dikenakan oleh otoritas pemerintah, kemudian yang ketiga tidak terkait langsung dengan layanan yang diperoleh. Kemudian tujuan pajak seperti membiayai belanja negara, mendistribusikan ulang pendapatan, serta mempengaruhi perilaku masyarakat. Salah satu tokoh yaitu Adam Smith itu harus memenuhi 4 syarat. Yang pertama adalah adil, yang kedua pasti, yang ketiga mudah dibayar, dan yang keempat adalah efisien. Kemudian objek pajak ini dapat berupa penghasilan, properti, maupun konsumsi seperti PPN dan cukai. Kemudian tadi disinggung juga bahwa struktur pajak khususnya perbandingan pajak langsung dan tidak langsung, direct and indirect taxes, itu bisa mencerminkan tingkat kemajuan suatu negara. Indonesia tadi sempat disebut oleh Profesor Alisher bahwasanya ini Indonesia tadi hampir menyentuh developed country atau negara maju ya. Artinya berarti pajak di Indonesia ini berpengaruh juga. Kemudian ya kurang lebih seperti itu.
Oke, thank you very much, Mas Aldi.
Clear enough, Bu?
Oke.
Ya, oke.
I think enough.
Ya, thank you.
Silahkan kepada teman-teman yang mungkin akan menanyakan bisa melalui chat atau langsung dengan raise hand.
Maybe the first time for me. Okay, Mr. Aldi.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Excuse me, Miss Neni and Mr. Alisar. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me introduce myself. I'm Mrs. Lia. I'm a lecturer from Economic Education, Universitas Pancasakti Tegal. Okay. Thank you for the explanation about taxes. Very interesting. Maybe this is one of subject for Mrs. Neni in the college for explain the taxes. As previously stated regarding the benefit that we can feel from taxes by the community, which are actually very money. One of the benefit of the taxes is the contribution in the field of education. So I'm interested in how the role of taxes in financing education and shaping the future of the younger generation in Uzbekistan. What are the benefits that university students in Uzbekistan can get from the tax contribution paid by the community. Maybe that's it. Thank you.
I'm very sorry. There was some 5-second pause, so I couldn't really understand your question. There was some pause here, some problem with
Oh,
listening.
there is
Oke.
problem.
Ya,
Oh,
mungkin Bu Dr. Lia
I'm
izin
right in
sampaikan.
the apa namanya chat. Okay.
Ya,
Yes, yes.
it's okay.
Okay. Please wait a second minute.
How is tax policy in Uzbekistan, especially in this field of social welfare and economic growth? Oh, thank you very much. That, as I said above, that the taxes have been very important in the history of our country, and according to last year's result, the taxes comprised that 80% of total budget, and the revenues from the taxes were redistributed to education and the social sphere, and the expenditures for this sphere was about the 40% of the total budget, and that is I think the very high rate. And the government gave some tax incentives for the education and the medical services. For example, that education system from the beginning to the higher level that are excluded from the VAT, the value added tax, that students that don't pay VAT for their tuition fee, or the pupil don't pay the VAT for their school fee, that in private schools. However, the last year, the exemption from the VAT was cancelled in the medical sphere. So the private medical institutions are started to pay VAT. And another tax incentive is from the personal income tax. For example, that if the students which is studying in my fee for his contract, that he will not pay 12% income tax, that he can return it, and that is I think the one of the elements of tax policy in my country. Thank you very much.
Ya, mungkin tadi should I help you to translate it or not, Bu Dr. Lia, or clear enough?
Okay, please, maybe for uh, student Nungsu.
Yes, I think that I have answered enough for the last question in the chat box. That the education system that from 2021, the private educational universities or schools have begun to appear in our country. And until 2030, they are exempted from all taxes. This is, I think, one of the opportunities for the entrepreneurs that who are working in the education sphere. That if that the entrepreneur in education system, or the director or the founder of a private school don't pay that VAT or other corporate income tax, that he will not that ask or VAT from the students or pupils, and that will the price fee will be lower. And that is, I think, very opportunity. And we have learned it from many foreign countries that for about 5 years that we have this tendency and the exemption and the tax incentives. Have you answered your question? Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Alisser. Thank you for your answer.
Okay, so I'll give for the students for giving question. If you still find any questions, so you may type it on the chat box. And while you are preparing for the question, I gently remind you to fill out the questionnaire, and also professor as well. Kindly fill out this questionnaire. I'm going to drop it for the second time. Yeah.
Oke, silakan untuk student.
Oh,
Oke.
yeah, it's already appeared, Professor. There is one question from Kalista Alodia. Maybe I will read it for you, the question.
Mr. Moderator, can I
Yes.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
That now I have looked into the chat box and you have sent a questionnaire, and the questions ask about the efficiency of today's lecture, and it's also interesting for me that, and I would be very grateful that that if you send the results of this questionnaire that after that we have finished it.
Oh, okay, sure.
And
Okay.
that is very important for my future career and future other expectations. What are the impacts of government?
So we will
Well,
give the results.
I
of the
will
question.
answer the Nia Maria's question, that what are the impacts if the governments relies too much on indirect taxes. Or relying on too much on indirect taxes is very ineffective for the economy, because relying on indirect taxes means that the level of shadow economy is very high in that country. That having shadow economy means losses in the budget. That they make losing the budget revenues means low expenditures, that are low revenues. So I think this is a very negative development. So any country must find ways to mitigate this problem. And the next question.
Ya mungkin jadi
in your
sorry, Professor, can I translate it first? Yeah, so they are easily grasp your answer. Ya, jadi tadi kata Profesor itu terlalu bersandar, terlalu apa ya, mengandalkan dari apa tadi namanya? Sebentar. Ya, dari pajak itu tidak terlalu bagus. Jadi tadi Profesor juga menjelaskan bahwasanya eh, seharusnya itu pemerintah apa ya, berarti menemukan eh, menemukan cara yang tepat untuk bagaimana eh, supaya pajak ini bisa efektif dan juga efisien untuk diberlakukan di sebuah negara. Kurang lebih seperti itu. Ya, dan juga ini teman-teman mungkin pertanyaannya dibatasi ya. Mungkin sudah cukup. And then you may continue, Professor. Sorry. For the next question.
Okay. In your opinion, who should pay more taxes, wealthy individuals, or should everyone pay the same amount? Why? that if you listen to my lecture, that I have said that there are four main the fundamental requirements for any tax system, and the second one is equity. And there are two types of equity: horizontal equity and vertical equity. Vertical equity means that if a person earns more money, he or she has to pay more taxes. Yeah, I think that is more scientific. Let me explain you in your words, just in the street words. Just for example, that the war happened or something that unexpected situation happened. That who will lose more, rich people or poor people? That poor people have nothing to lose, but the rich people have a lot in their savings. They have that very high properties, have money in the banks or some cars and transport systems. That who will lose? That of course that rich people, wealthy people lose a lot. So they will receive a lot of the government public goods. They will receive more defense from the government compared to poor people. And that's why the wealthy people have to pay more taxes according to fairness principle.
Ya, oke. Jadi tadi Profesor menjelaskan bahwasanya tadi kalau Anda memperhatikan tadi di penjelasan PPT yang sudah disampaikan, itu ada fundamental utama, ada syarat empat fundamental utama untuk apa namanya pembagian pajak ini. Tadi yang disoroti adalah yang apa namanya fundamental yang equity yang tadi dibagi menjadi dua, yaitu horizontal dan juga vertical. In summary, itu yang harus membayar pajak lebih itu adalah orang yang kaya, we can say like that ya. Jadi uh, apa namanya? Jadi orang yang memiliki penghasilan yang berlebih itu harus membayar pajak yang lebih juga kepada negara, kurang lebih seperti itu. Yeah, okay, Professor. I think one more question for the last question because our time is up. There are some pauses on your video. Sorry. Yeah. Check. Can you hear my voice?
Okay, it's yes, I can hear.
Yeah, okay. I think we need one more question before this meeting will be ended up.
Okay. Is raising taxes always the best solution to increase the state revenue? That is a very interesting and difficult question. That in the United States, one scholar leave it and just I have forgotten his name, and he did some analysis that between the budget revenue and tax rate. The tax revenues will increase until some point. However, when the tax rate reaches that point, the tax revenues will decrease. That whenever you increase the tax rate, so the increasing the tax rate is not the best solution. That increasing the tax base is the best solution in any country. For example, just imagine that the two people are paying 4,000 Uzbek sums as a tax, and that at 12% personal income rate. However, that if we include and if we invite or the two other people who are in the shadow part, the tax base will increase. Tax base will increase, and the budget revenue will also increase, and it will not hurt the other people. So the tax rate is effective until some point. However, when the tax rate reaches that point, however that you increase, the budget revenue will decrease, because just imagine that entrepreneur or the people cannot enter to the market with the hope of paying the total amount of money to the budget. He entered to the market in order to earn money. He or she would benefit from his effects. So the government should find that unpainful the part of unpainful the tax rate. Thank you very much.
Ya, oke. Jadi tadi pertanyaannya adalah apakah menaikkan pajak itu selalu apa namanya menjadi solusi yang terbaik ya untuk meningkatkan state revenue. Jadi jawabannya adalah secara singkat itu tadi tidak selalu menjadi apa namanya alangkah terbaik ya untuk menaikkan state revenue. Tapi yang harus diperhatikan adalah apa namanya tax base-nya atau basis dari pajak tersebut. Kurang lebih seperti itu. Okay, Professor, because the time is up, I think that's all about the question. Thank you so much for answering the questions. And ladies and gentlemen, before we ended up this meeting, one more time, I would like to remind you to to fill out the questionnaire that I already dropped on the chat box. Jadi nanti questionnaire-nya silakan diisi ya. So for the professor, you may also fill out the questionnaire later, and I will give you the results of this questionnaire as soon as it is completed. Okay.
As closing, Mas Aldi.
Oh yeah. Okay.
As closing. Okay. Thank you. I want to say thank you very much for Mr. Aliser, Dr. Yoga Prihatin, and then Dr. Dewi Amalia, Dr. Dewi Apriani, Mas Tommy, dan Dr. Beni Habibi, for all students, moderators, and all who have participated. See you next time, and always be healthy, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, before we ended up this meeting, so please, all the participant, can you please open your camera? So after this, we will take a picture together to capture the moment. Yeah, we will start with the first slide first. Yeah, show us your best smile. 1, 2, 3. We go to the next slide. 1, 2, 3. And we go to the last slide. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all about our today's event. I'd like to extend my heartfelt feelings to Professor Alisher Kaidarov. Thank you for sharing your outstanding knowledge, and thank you also for the lecturers of economic education of Faculty of Teacher Training Education Universitas Pancasakti Tegal, and also thank you for Dr. Yoga Prihatin as the Dean of Teacher Training and Education Faculty. That's all about our event today. I hope to see you all again in the next occasion. Thank you so much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to give you this lecture, and I'm very happy that you give me this opportunity. And I hope that we will meet in the future. And as I said in the beginning, and that we will do some more the cooperation in the future. Thank you very much.
Many thanks,
Assalamualaikum
Professor.
warahmatullah.
Waalaikumsalam. You may leave,
Waalaikumsalam
Miss Ro.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Mbak Nini.
Sami-sami Pak Beni.
Oke, mohon
Thank
maaf.
you.